People are going to obviously watch this and be like, well, you alluded to it yourself a little bit. You're like, what do you mean? This dude's like rocking pretty significant amount of hair here. But just, dude, like, we have not touched on this at all. So tell me the hair story, man, from, I guess, the beginning.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, That's I'll walk it all the way back. So, yeah, I mean, first of all, thanks for hosting me. Thanks for everything like that. I want to just acknowledge that. I want to be class.
Thanks for
whether
coming.
You leave that in or not. So when I was really little, up until the age of probably, I think it was end of middle school, start of middle school, I literally just had a buzz cut. Right. My mom would always cut me and my 2 younger brothers. So I had like no style at all. And then finally I was like revolted, grew out the Bieber hair, all that stuff in middle school. But I think the first time I became sort of conscious of my hair was towards high school. Just recognizing, playing the comparison game, start looking at my hair, looking at other people's.
Right.
I have a widow's peak just naturally, like at where the hairline was. So it was never going to be this super strong. But I'd say like thinningness, I became cognizant of it latter half of high school.
Right.
I played, as I told you, lacrosse my entire life, starting back in middle school. Probably the most soy upbringing you can imagine, like soy milk, fake eggs, fake butter.
Okay.
So, because I've gone down all the rabbit holes, of course, with like natural health and replicating it. So I think environmental factors, I'm sure, played a part. I don't know how much I do or do not deny the existence of genetic components, but
yeah, what is that like just on the outside, like your dad, uncles?
Right. So allegedly, as is commonly purported, it's supposed to be you get your hair from your mom's dad. If I was so lucky or differently blessed, I would have black hair and it would be like dark Italian, like straight hair across. He's still got a full head of hair. Now on my dad's side, he's got the big like ring and he hasn't ever shaved it all the way off.
Rocking the horseshoe.
Rocking the horseshoe. And that actually, like my entire life, I asked him, I remember even young, like, why not shave it? And he had a twofold answer. One was like, I don't want to shave it till I retire. And now he's retired and still hasn't done it. And the second one was he has like a weird head, according to him. Right. Which I think it's a story people tell themselves.
Yeah, that everyone worries about that.
You just have a head-shaped head.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's head is different. Like there is no, barring weird medical circumstances.
Yeah, barring like a genuine deformity.
Right.
Yeah.
And I felt it. Like he has a normal head.
Yeah.
But at the root of all of this, and like even my state and kind of mindset of like why I want to shave is that it actually doesn't matter, in my opinion, what you look like at all. It matters what you think you look like. And I think the reason I want to shave is I'm really bullish on and believe heavily in leaning into your insecurities and kind of claiming them back.
Yeah.
And I think that the second you think about it is when it is time to begin addressing the issue. Now, other people, of course, like all insecurities. Nobody's actually thinking about me. No one's ever made, other than friends just jonesing you like, the hairline, like taking the piss. Nobody ever is going to really like bring it up.
No.
And they're not thinking about your hair because they're thinking about probably their hair or their insecurities. But if I am every day doing the touch up or like wearing a hat because I know I'm going to sweat or worried about going to the beach, like the typical things that I'm sure people deal with, to me, that has now reached the place that it should be addressed with some sort of action.
Right.
Doesn't mean shaving, as we talked about. There's different ways to walk yourself to that edge where you've kind of owned and embraced and integrated that insecurity to a point of confidence. For me, I'm just somebody, I love the massive action. And it all obviously culminated in this trip as well. Like there were just so many stars aligning.
Yeah.
But I was kind of getting increasingly frustrated with my hair and knowing like, okay, probably this year at some point I'll shave it. And then as I told you yesterday, once I came to the decision where like, okay, I'm doing it, I felt like the insecurity essentially dissolved. Like I just no longer care. Like I could not shave it today and be totally fine.
Knowing that you have that option and are happy to take the option is kind of like, oh, well, I can kind of just chill out about it then.
Right. It's like, for whatever reason, once I reached the decision point, the gravity was gone. And everybody, it owns and controls them at different degrees. You know, some people labor over the decision for years and years and years. I wasn't as much of the case, but certainly it has been something that I've thought about. And like I told you, I think once I came to this self-awareness that you're thinking about it, you're doing things to avoid it, you don't like the way it looks in like down lighting versus side lighting, and trying to control the aesthetics of it. And once I started creating content, I'm seeing myself on camera all the time. I like my angles, but if somebody shoots from the side, like all that kind of stuff, I think any amount of awareness, I just wanted to remove it. Like, all right, I want it to be a non-factor. And that's
why we're here. That's where we got to. I want to let's dive into those little things a little bit more.
I know I covered a lot.
No, dude, that's fine. So high school is when you really became conscious of it. This is when people started to make digs on the hairline, or you just
honestly no. I don't think I got made fun of until college, and I guess I don't know that it was regressing. But because I look at pictures from senior year of high school, which I was generally an insecure person for a long time. So I avoided the camera in general, not just because of the hair. So there's not many pieces of evidence, and I can send you what I can kind of rummage out for the video. But I just noticed, like I said, I was playing lacrosse. So every day I'd put the helmet on, take the helmet off, sweaty, and I could see that it was thinner. And then I'd be looking at other friends and be like, oh, I wish I had hair like them.
Right.
So I think that's when I personally became aware of it, but I don't think anyone ever made a comment, honestly, until university. And then, you're on a team with a bunch of guys. I was in fraternity. So you'll kind of get the...
So what are they like, that hairline though, or...
Yeah, take the hat off, see if you whatever.
Right.
And people are usually just taking the piss, and, I'm self-confident enough and know that I'm a good-looking guy. So I think people will always try to make digs, whether it's out of a place of envy or...
pain point in it, it's something to touch on that everyone kind of looks for to kind of one up each other or whatever, right?
Yeah.
In the general social dynamic,
And I definitely think that I had a lot going for me, and I was developing my self-confidence and self-esteem. So as I became more confident, less and less things were openings for people to make the dig.
Right. So the classic so it would be oh yeah, sweet, you're jacked. You're doing well in school, but that hairline though,
right? Exactly. You'd be like, God keeps it even.
Yeah. So so that's kind of when you notice things because these are things that really interest me about people's stories, is how it actually begins to how that insecurity shows up and how you become aware of it, and then what you do to try to counteract that insecurity.
Yeah.
And you mentioned there about maybe different styles or hats. So talk to me, dig into those a little bit.
Yeah, it's interesting because I actually loved having long hair, and we can put up a picture of the longest I ever grew it.
I did see that on the gram. Yeah. You've got it back like this, right? Flowy.
Maybe. I don't know if it's still, it must have been. I didn't remember that I still had that picture up. But yeah, that was around the time that was the longest I'd ever grown it. It was probably over a year. Super long. Right around it was just about to start touching the shoulders. But you can kind of see in that the widow's peak, and it was thinner than at the time I wasn't cognizant really of it. But that was the longest it grew, and then I did a short chop and kept it relatively short from then. And then as time goes on and you're more cognizant of the hairline, I think it's tighten the sides. But the biggest thing I became or identified with from what you talk about is the hat slave.
Right.
Anytime especially sport, because I knew I was going to sweat, and when it's wet, you can kind of see a lot thinner.
Yeah.
Or at least I was more insecure about it. So every time I went gym for probably, I don't know, the last year and a half, 2 years, I would always train in the hat.
Right.
There is the benefit of the psychological blinders on aspect.
Yeah.
I do like that, but I know it was predominantly a hair-based decision.
Right. This is, again, the interesting thing. I, overnight, essentially went from, I'm not losing my hair. I was totally unaware and I had a good sense of body image and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then as soon as I even noticed that it was slightly thin at the crown, because we've got we're at the opposite ends of the spectrum. Obviously my hair loss is way more severe now, but...
Well, you're also close to a decade.
Yeah, older, yeah. But the, in terms of how it started, so there's this, it's been showing up a lot on the channel actually, it either starts from the front, where this whole thing is consistent, and then this just sort of slowly goes back, and super slow, John, who was on the channel recently, he was in his 40s, I think, and he's still, it was back here now, but this was all still solid, whereas me, it was very much the reverse sneak attack, and this whole thing just kind of slowly drifted away, quite quickly really. But when my hair loss first started, it was the same as you, like, you know, because people will look at your hair and like be like, what are you talking about?
Right.
You know, like, this is, okay, maybe super early stages. And same with me. But I think the hard thing for people to grasp is the amount doesn't correlate to
how much it owns you.
Yeah, how much it owns you, or the insecurity. And I think a lot of people get that wrong about it.
Yeah, and I think all insecurities, ironically, are that same way. And we talked about it at the gym yesterday. Like, some of those dudes walking around, pumping gear, amazing physiques, like dudes who could step on stage tomorrow, those likely might be the people with the largest body image issues.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, you know, anyone on the outside would be like, your physique is amazing. And then that guy's like, you know, I've been slacking, I feel bloated, I feel whatever. Like, they're in their head about their body fat percentage when they're in the top 1%.
Yeah.
And so I think hair can very much be the same way. Like, you might be the guy with the best hair, but if it's something you identify with, if you place identity into something physical,
in how perfect
then it
is.
owns you.
Yeah.
Like, you have a bad hair day, just bedhead, you're ruined. And so, yeah, I think when hair loss comes into the equation, it has nothing to do with the physical effect. It has nothing to do with what you decide down the road, whether you shave it, whether you leave it, whether you cut it short, whether you get a transplant, whether you use a toupee. Like, none of that actually matters. It's all about how you psychologically relate to it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree, because people will look at me and be like, how are you even like walking around looking like that? And I'm just like,
really?
Yeah, of course, yeah, because in a lot of guys' minds, like, this is their worst nightmare, right? Looking like this, like, bit of shadow on the go, like, and I'm at the point now, luckily, where I sort of look at myself and I think, yeah, legit, like, this is peak for me. This is like stubble's a few days out, hair's a few days out. I think this is like prime look for me, you know. And it's just strange how I can genuinely believe that, and other people are horrified by it. But I bring the point up because the act, you know, we spoke about this a little bit last night, right? The act of shaving it again comes into this like mental, like how you're dealing with it mentally, rather than just the physical, right? Like, how does it actually look? It's your perception of it. When did you first think, okay, I need to address this, and shaving it could be the right way for me to address this insecurity?
Senior year university was the first time I had like properly ideated, right. I guess.
And I guess you'd never even heard of Bowl Cafe at that point.
No, I had.
You had, okay.
Like, that's the thing, is I'd probably have been cognizant of the YouTube world. I'd watch like haircutting videos, right, and been down the rabbit holes for a long time, actually, probably like even high school, like, was aware of your content, but it was never like, it was a secret and quiet, didn't talk about it, and then also never really saw myself as shaving. But senior year, it was like, okay, mine's definitely on the direction of eventually, naturally, it's going to take its course, and I'm somebody who, like, I will beat nature there. I want to control.
Get to the
I'm the
point.
captain of my fate kind of. That's just my personality. And then I had a couple of friends who were much worse, or like further down the line, like really, like it was gone. And I was even saying like, hey, like when you're ready to go, I'll do it with you, that kind of thing. Because I'm somebody who, like, I'll just take the action. Yeah. And I think a lot of people, they're looking for maybe just somebody to do it with, or like that additional kind of push. Yeah. So there were a few friends that were further down the line, and I was like, hey, I'm thinking about maybe doing it for, you know, my 25th birthday, which is this coming up April. Right. And so I had a few friends in the line that I was at least mentioning that I would do it with them. And yeah, so I'd say around 2022, senior year university, graduating time, was when I was thinking about it a lot more. Yeah. And that's what I'm curious about. First of all, what is it going to look like? And then second of all, how do I feel about it once it's shaved? Yeah. Because I think once I've taken the action, like you said, you're just like, yeah, I like it with a little bit of, you're not like religious about keeping it down to the skin. No,
not at this point.
I might full on just regrow it and then years down the line reshave. I have no idea, but I can only know once I step through that gate. Once
you see that worst case scenario, which is, let's be honest, for every guy who's losing their hair, the worst case is like, I lose my hair, right? So you go bald. Yeah. And then you think, oh, actually, I can probably handle this. It's like, all right, well, sweet. Well, I don't have anything to worry about. So you're no longer in the same mindset, which would allow you to grow it back if you wanted to, and just be like, well, I can shave it anytime I want. So yeah, because no drama.
There's so much people catastrophize the theoretical outcome, but it's because it's unknown.
Yeah.
Because you don't know yet what you would look like bald. So you think of whatever this fictional worst case scenario where
the pedo look.
Yeah, like I think you connect somehow in your head the stereotype that society pushes of like the bald guy who's like overweight, unwell, like it's all these things that get wrapped into this image, but it's like me shaving today doesn't make me not handsome anymore. It doesn't make me not healthy anymore. It doesn't make me not intelligent. I don't lose any quality about myself other than there is less hair on my head. So yeah, I've made this psychological connection, but I think a lot of people that are like, that think of the worst case scenario, they're like, you know, he can pull it off, but I can't. You know, they look good bald, but I can't.
If you were to sum up your reasons now for buzzing off the hair in like one kind of like the reason why you're doing it, how would you kind of summarize the reason why you're taking this step?
Yeah, I'd say it's twofold. One is for me, and then one is for anyone that could be positively affected by me sharing it. So yeah, one for like the people, now that I'm a creator, I'm in the public eye. I know for a fact, like I know some of, like I could name them, like that are in a worse position, have opened up to me about their hair loss, whatever. And I think that they're controlled by it. So one is to potentially be an emblem. You know, I have a bit of a hero complex, whatever. Well, the second of that is for me personally, I really do want to own it. And now that I've been thinking about it for long enough, I actually kind of want to I've never rocked that aesthetic. It's like unlocking a new aesthetic. And I think that there's some characters like OG David Beckham when he would do the two razor and like Fight Club Brad Pitt. It's like kind of a curiosity thing. And then maybe the final would be, I think, just convenience. Like truly, like I know I don't want to have to do my hair every morning. I don't want to have to get it wet and do the thing and then think about once I put the hat on for the day, I can't take it off anymore. Small stuff like that. I just don't want it to have I don't want to think about my hair, like to state it plainly. I just don't want to think about it at all.
Yeah, you don't want there to be any hold over you.
At all. I don't want in my head, I don't want to ever, as a man, like I got more important, I got a mission, I got a business, like I got stuff to do.
Yeah. So I guess, lastly then, just to touch on that, like you mentioned, like, you know, you're obviously rocking it kind of a bit well, I'd use the word puffy, but I don't know what the equivalent word is.
Fringe, yeah.
Messy fringe. So is there like a routine behind that?
Nothing fancy. I mean, at this point, like what I did this morning, I showered last night. I'm a night showerer for any of you morning psychos. But yeah, showered last night. So I woke up, had the bed head, and just got it wet enough that it was no longer out, and then just kind of let it settle. But it's like, you know, you pull it in the right ways and you're touching the corners.
How about wind? Does that like get you paranoid, or did it? Or
it did when it was longer.
Right.
That's part of why it's shorter, because there's just less to be revealed. But I think a big one is when it's wet or swimming.
Right.
It just gets like full exposure.
And then it's like in your head, you're thinking, how is it looking?
Yeah, and I'm touching it as soon as I come out of the water, stuff like that. Right. I want to dry it off quickly.
Was that when you were in Bali? Was it like that, or?
Yes and no. I mean, of course, I'm cognizant of it, but I was much more live and let live. And I also think that for better or for worse, I think a tan lets you get away with a lot more aesthetically.
Yeah.
You just feel handsome when you're well tanned. So I wasn't thinking about it much when I was there, if I'm being frank. But at that time, I was definitely in the stage where I'm like, eventually I'm going to shave anyway. So I was at least thinking of it.
Yeah.
And when you come out of the water, either with a buzzed head or a fully shaved head, there's nothing to fix. It just is.
No, it's very true. I think that's the thing, again, we touched on, that comes from, it's like a reset, you know, like it sounds as though it's not been like completely holding you back from life, but again, it's has had a hold on you. It has made you do things that you wouldn't be doing if you weren't worried about it or thinking about it, which like takes energy, right? It takes energy away from things that you want to be doing. And I think, well, literally, like when you shave it off, you don't have a fringe to hide, you know, used to hide anything. And it's literally like out there. You're getting that feedback of like, yeah, I've shaved my head like this, so let's see how this goes. You get all that feedback, and it's just like, all right, sweet, I don't need to worry about this anymore. You know, you can prove it to yourself. And yeah, dude, any like last minute nerves or anything like that now that it's coming to it, or?
Not particularly. I've like I told you, I think there were nerves. It was weird. Like months in advance of knowing it was going to happen, I was nervous to decide for myself.
Right.
I was nervous to DM you. I was nervous to make, because I knew once I started the dialogue, it's like you're in it. So I was nervous leading up to that. And then once I decided, it was all gone. It was as if I had already shaved.
Right.
So I've more so been excited. Like I'm actually like kind of itching to see what it looks like.
Yeah.
Get it off and then hop into it. So.
Okay. Wow. I mean, yeah, dude. I mean,
to the razor, I guess.
You sure?
I mean, I think so.
Classic Remington turbo. How about a little hairline reveal?
Oh yeah, sure.
Like before.
Might as well. You can kind of see corners, and it's like it's more dense on the sides and back. So I think this whole region here is like thinner.
Right.
But I mean, we'll see once it's buzzed. I think what like the truth is.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. God, it is freezing in here.
It's not quite barley, no.
No.
So, what are your thoughts going into this? Remind me why you're going for this.
To become a new man. I mean, no more thinking about it. I want to see what it looks like. I'm excited to see what it looks like, and join you on the bald side of the fence.
Yeah, dude.
This thing's got a wide little.
Yeah, it's here. Pretty wide. Yeah.
Ready for the money shot?
I think so.
Wow. That is a lot of hair. Jeez.
Oh, that is a lot.
Dude. Wow. That's crazy. Oh. Just like mowing the lawn.
Yeah, get that overlap going. Not bad for a first timer.
Yeah, I have. Rate my form.
How you feeling? What's on your mind?
It's weird. It's having like a physiological. I feel like there's a little like shock element.
Yeah, of course.
I didn't anticipate, but do you think I look older?
The beard's like popping hardcore.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel. I mean, I obviously have to get used to it, but
it's a very masculine.
Yeah.
Look.
It's intense. I feel like I look like a freaking, I don't know, like a biker.
Maybe it's not as nothing as you were anticipating.
That's the thing. It's like I thought it would be casual, but now I'm just like, wow. We're here, man.
We're here. For the post-shave reaction.
Post-shave reaction.
I think initial thoughts. Talk to me. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we saw the in the moment reaction. It wasn't no tears, nothing dramatic. As we talked about before, it wasn't too much of a life-altering decision.
Yeah.
I felt like I approached it very level-headed. Now, I think it, as I was telling you when we were eating, I don't know how to describe what I expected it would look like, but it doesn't look like that. Not worse or better, just different. I think in my head, I may have created some sort of like buzz cut perception, but as I told you, there's a clear difference between a buzz cut and like a shave.
That's zero. Yeah, that's like, yeah.
Yeah, it's gone.
Yeah.
Everything up to a razor. So, Yeah, I mean, I feel good. I feel cold. It's breezy up here, but yeah, no, it's good. I'm just like, it's exciting to experiment with things. Like now I have unlocked. It's like unlocking new parts of a map. I now have this as like another experience. I now know what I look like with a shaved head. It's not a mystery.
Shock is a strong word, but do you know what I mean? Where you're like, okay, it takes processing.
Yeah, and I think we're still in that stage.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we're literally like 2 minutes after.
Yeah,
essentially.
not even. Yeah. So we're fresh as.
And I can already know what the comments will say. Right. Those who get it, those who understand like the reasons why you might do that. Right. Like, why is this guy shaving his head?
Yeah.
Will be like, good for you, dude. Looks fine. Crack on.
Yeah.
Like, whatever is what it is. Those who aren't there will 100% say, what is this guy doing?
Looked better before.
He looked better before. He didn't need to do that. But again, it keeps coming back to this thing of, I think the mistake, and you mentioned it, is looking at this purely as a physical thing, like an appearance issue. Whereas I think I know, and I think a lot of people know, that the issue here is emotion, like it's an emotional thing that you got to deal with in terms of your emotions, in terms of your perception, self-esteem, all the things you talked about before.
I think an example that's even coming to mind now as like a way to almost explain it is like, say you walk into a restaurant and everyone's wearing a suit, but it's not required that you wear a suit to get in. If you're in your head about not having the suit on, then it matters. But if you don't think about it, it doesn't matter because no one else is. You just walked in to eat. They're walked in to eat. So it's not actually what you're wearing. It's how you think about what you're wearing. Haircut the same way. Like the fact that I had any thought about my hairline means that to me, it was time to address that somehow. And it isn't like you said, like some people's receding is other people's, I wish I had that, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And then other people are saying like, I would have shaved it way sooner. There's what's nice about your channel is it's like this compendium. It's like you see every stage of it, all different sorts, different types, age groups.
And that's why we're here doing this, to be honest. Like, it's not a prerequisite. Like, you have to be like clinging on for dear life.
You have to have struggled for at least 6 months.
No, because I got to remember, like, in the grand scheme of things, I shaved my head like way early compared to what people would say.
Sure.
Like, fine, it looks like this now, but dude, when I actually shaved my head, like legit, nobody would have ever noticed that I was losing my hair, like genuinely. But I was so up here.
Where do you think it compared to mine? Similar?
I think it was similar, but obviously I was at the back. Yeah. So you've got like, a little bit of recession here, and I had a little bit of recession at the crown. But the normal people that walk about this earth would never have been like, that guy's losing his hair, or that guy's hair looks terrible. Nothing like that. But I was just made it this whole thing. And it obviously escalated for me, right? Like, it didn't start off. Well, actually, no, like pretty quickly for me, I was like, holy shit, I'm going bald. Like, I don't want to go bald. I like the way I look. I think I'm good looking.
Yeah.
All the success I've had up to my life at this point, I've had looking like this. And it was just pure, like, if that changes, it's all going to go wrong. And that was the only thing I could think of, And obviously I went down this whole, like, road of trying to cover up. And then it was the insecurity over that fear that I explained that actually, like, damaged my life, like, had the huge negative impact on my overall life. The hair, like the physical hair, did absolutely nothing. It can't. No, it can't. It didn't do anything bad to me, but it was just like everything that was going on up here. So similarly, when I decided like I need to tackle this, like legit, I need to be okay with this. The only road that made sense for me was I need to know if I can handle the worst case scenario, which is going bald, So let's get rid. And dude, kudos to you, because I didn't go. I went with like 0 on the sides, like the 3 on top, like for starters.
Yeah, I guess I didn't think strategically at all.
And I did that. Well, dude, listen, I think if you balls to the wall, right, if you can do it, just do it. I couldn't, or I didn't even like consider it really. I just thought, right, let's get because I had a short haircut when I was at uni down here. Like, I had shaved my head for a couple of months, and everyone said it looked bad. Everyone was like, dude, you had great hair. Like, what are you doing? But I don't know. I did it for like Halloween one year, and I felt kind of manly doing it, and like people's perceptions, I kind of enjoyed it, so I rolled with it for a few months after. So I knew like, okay, I've done it before, but the whole like when you know it's like slowly escaping you, it's a whole different ball game, you know. But yeah, I did like the three on top. And at that stage, that was what I needed to get out of my head, of that fear of having people know like I'm losing my hair. And I kind of did the whole thing a little bit backwards, in all honesty. But yeah, dude, kudos to you. You've done it. You're yet to have the, like tomorrow or tonight when you have a shower and stuff and you just get out and you're like, okay, like what do I do with all this time that I've got? And you know, when you go outside and you're just like, don't have to be conscious of it. When you go surfing and stuff, like rocking the what's that guy's Kelly Slater, you know, like you've got those things. They're real. Like those are real things, you know. That especially for you, like, and what you want to do at the moment, those are real things. So, no, man, it's been fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to add to the work of the body of work, like with your content, like adding another perspective, another story, like it's not insignificant. And I've, you know, been down the rabbit hole and watched the videos. So if somebody else can place their story in my story and be like, oh wow, like my hairline kind of looks like him, like, because some people be like, oh well, mine's better than this guy. Like for me, it's like, well, oh wow, his was this stage, or he's this age, or he has dark hair, I have light hair. You know, you're just adding more data to that pool so that people can see it, hear this perspective.
Yeah.
And then I think just the conversation around it needs to be, as you talked about before, more normalized and less antagonized. Like, and we'll probably go into this on the podcast, but like, as you talked about last night, actually, like the fear, I mean, all fear is rooted in like, I'll die alone, right? But like, I think the big fear for guys is like, I won't be attractive anymore. Yeah. To, you know, I guess if you're a heterosexual male, the opposite sex.
Yeah.
But just like we've talked about where the physical isn't the problem for you, it's also not ever the problem for the other sex. Like dad bod, fit bod, bald hair, really great hair, curly hair. Like attraction for females is all about your confidence. And like that's so overplayed, but truly like your aura, like if you are so self-assured, it's like it's an infectious attraction that is felt by them. But if you're sitting there like nitpicky, you may look better, but your attraction is gone because they can feel that insecure energy.
Yeah, nobody's attracted to insecurity.
Yeah, they're actually repelled.
Yeah.
And it's like so energetically true. Guys can tell, girls can tell. And it's like no one wants to be in that circle with somebody who's like finicky or like just shadowy, like
always looking for reassurance.
Looking over their shoulder, checking in the mirror, like everything is driven off of your mission and vision. Like that's what all of your focus should be on. Like what is your purpose? What are you here for? Shaved head, not shaved head, hair, no hair, like the story goes on.
Receding hairline, rocking the bob, whatever, like it's as long as it's not it's not like controlling you, you're not insecure, like it genuinely, like it doesn't need to be a thing. Yeah, dude, the work must continue. The message.
You got stuff to do.
The message must be continued to be shared. Yeah, no, we'll get there. But no, I appreciate you, man. This has been good. Bro. And I'm glad you've shared your perspective. That's a very, very important point. It's good. You know, if I really want to get this message home, get it out there, you've got to, share as many stories, as many perspectives, experiences, relatable ones as I can. So appreciate you.
Of course, bro.
Good.